Hey, and welcome back to another episode of Oops, I'm Evolving. So today we get to have a guest, and you guys are absolutely going to love her because I do. Her name is Jess Soulstice. She's an intuitive coach who calls herself your biggest hype woman and intuitive bestie. And honestly, that's the kind of vibe she brings. She's a quantum energy healer, a psychic medium, and an eclectic witch who blends practical tools with mystic magic in a way that makes deep healing feel both approachable and fun. Jess is the person who will hold space for your shadows and cheer you on like you just won the damn Olympics. She said in this interview, don't come to her if you're not looking for a hype woman. She helps you unlock your inner magic, tune into your intuition, and heal what's been holding you back so that you can fully step into your authentic power. Whether you're ready to heal old wounds or smash through limiting beliefs, build unstoppable confidence, or find your way back to your inner light, Jess is your gal. I can't wait for you guys to hear this conversation. Hi, Jess. I'm so excited to have you
Hello.
today. I have
Thank you.
been just stalking you all over Instagram and TikTok for a while. And then I got a reading from you, and I was like, okay, I need to have this girl on my podcast. So I'm so excited that you're here.
Yeah, thanks. I'm super excited to be here. I feel like we have a mutual love story for each other, it sounds like. I honestly don't remember how I found your blog first, or not your blog, sorry, your podcast first. Um, and I was looking for something on human design, and I found your podcast, and I just loved the title. So I started listening to it, and I just immediately resonated with the way that you talk about everything and how down to earth it is. And then I found you on Insta, and then I found you on TikTok, and so yeah, it's just been a mutual respect. So I'm more than happy to be here. I love talking to you.
Yay. Okay, so can you tell us what do you do and how do you do it?
Sure. Yeah. I think it's always been a little hard for me to explain what exactly it is I do. I mean, I've kind of tried to explain to people that it's like I'm your best friend who's your ultimate hype woman and knows how to help you with all your problems, and I just make you happier and feel better. Like, it sounds really pompous and arrogant to say it like that. So I don't know how to describe it, but I have been through such a long healing journey and empowerment journey myself. And I've really kind of learned and mastered all these different ways to overcome stuff in any way that resonates with you. Because I feel like through all of the seasons of my life, I've resonated with different ways of doing things, you know? So I've used a lot of somatic embodiment and healing to kind of work on the younger child things or things that you're still holding on in your body that you need to let go of. Subconscious reprogramming I use for limiting beliefs, which all of us, have, and it's a really gentle way to deal with it. But I also use birth chart astrology and human design and soul path and synchronicities, and I'm a psychic, so I teach people especially how to connect to themselves because ultimately everything I do is just reminding you that you are already completely capable of doing all this stuff and you absolutely can live the life of your dreams and be super happy and super authentic to yourself and whatever that means for you in a society that tells you how to be, right? It's all in you. I just kind of help, like, I'm an archaeologist, right? Like, I help you dig it out again, get rid of all the other stuff, and get back to where you were from, right? So that's kind of in a nutshell what I do. I mean, officially, I call myself an intuitive life coach, but it's so many other things, yeah.
I was, for those of you listening, sitting here laughing, shaking my head along with everything that you're saying because it's like it is so true. And when you try to shove us in a box, it's like, no, wait.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I also hate that question of what do you do? Because I'm also a manifesting generator. Like, what do you mean? What do? I do a lot of things.
Yeah. And I kind of always used to describe myself as like the head cheerleader of your spirit squad
Yeah.
because I use my psychic abilities as well. So when I'm working with you, like even right now, I'm connected with you. I did the reading with you. So as soon as we started talking, it was just like right back there. It's so easy to reconnect. But when
Mhm.
I work with people, that's what happens. I connect with my spirit team, your spirit team, and then help you connect. But until you can really do that, like I'm getting a lot of information for you that helps guide ways that are really helpful for you to heal or to work through something, because what works for one person doesn't necessarily work for someone else, right? So that's how a lot of times I'll get the guidance of like, oh, this would be really good for her to write. She's a writer, but journaling is not for her. She doesn't like journaling, but tell her to work through it as like a creative exercise, like make a full fantasy story about it. But that's a way to process it in a way that works for her. It'll do the same thing that journaling or diary or whatever won't work, right? So it's those kind of things. And I feel really honored to do the work now that I'm stepping into it fully, because it is such an honor to let me connect with your energy and with your team, because it is a very intimate thing. So it is kind of like, I love you. I'm your bestie. I'm like, I want the absolute best for you. And I'm never going to let you think that you're not good enough for something or that you can't achieve something. So yeah, I'm like the ultimate hype woman, I guess.
Gosh, amen. And I mean, sometimes you do, especially like you said, when you're learning to connect with yourself and you're even honestly, I will say, even when you've connected with yourself, sometimes you just need that person that you can run things by and be like, hey, like, what do you think is going on here? Or like, I'm really struggling with this because it's like sometimes when you're working through things, at least what I like my experience and what I see with my clients is like you don't see it until you see it. And sometimes you
Hmm.
need somebody to say, like, hey, right here is what
Yeah.
you're missing.
Yeah. And say it in sometimes 50 different ways, right? You know? Yeah.
Like I've said on my podcast a billion times, like we all know Morgan has a problem with control. I struggle with it. Problem, you know?
Hmm.
And then like the bird like smacking against my garage window. It's like, yeah, okay, I just needed to be shown this poor bird hitting this window over and over, even though I've
Yeah.
been told a billion other ways, you know?
Oh
So it's
yeah,
like sometimes
totally.
you just need that.
Yeah. I mean, I think now that I am wiser in my middle age to understand all the things that I've gone through in my life, I can understand I'm a tough client for my spirit guides. Like I just imagine them up there like, oh, this bitch again. Like constantly, because I am the kind of person that I do need that bird smacking in the window. I need my whole world to crumble before I give up or let go. And that's detrimental sometimes to myself, right? But that's one thing that also makes me really tenacious. And one thing I've been talking a lot about with people is resiliency. Being resilient is a life skill that's learned. I truly believe some people have more adeptness to it, from the beginning, but it's something you can learn. And it's invaluable. I think it's one of the best things you can do is just learn to fall on your face 500 and just keep learning and getting back up, right? And that's also the key. Because if you fall 500 times on your face and you keep just slipping on that ice, like that's stupidity. But if you fall and then you're like, I should maybe avoid that patch of ice right there. And then you keep going and then you fall again, but you're like, I'm going to get to that front door with these 15 bags of groceries. You know what I mean? Like it's that kind of attitude, right?
I am a Capricorn sun, so I know climbing that mountain well. Like we will
Hmm.
push through the blizzard and the snow and everything. So when you said like you need your world to fall apart, like yep, that's me too.
Yeah, I'm a Taurus sun, and so
Yeah,
I'm very stubborn. I
yeah.
am very stubborn, right? But like sometimes you can look back, right? Because as they say, hindsight's 2020. You can look back and you can see every single time that your spirit team was like putting a little nudge there or showing you something, and you were just like, I don't see anything, and you just keep going. It's like I don't know. That was weird. That was strange, and then you
Oh
just
my
keep
gosh,
going.
totally. Yes, that hindsight. It's like, wow, Morgan, you really missed the boat on that one.
Yeah, 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 yeah. But I mean, honestly, sometimes you have to learn that way. I just did a reading for somebody where I was telling them, you know, there are no true mistakes in life. Like, for one, you're always supported by your team. That's one thing I've learned. Like, whether you do the thing that they're guiding you to do or you go the opposite direction, they're going to support you. They want the best for you. They're still supporting you, and it's just part of your learning journey. So, how you kind of get to these destinations, that's up to you, right? And being connected helps you get there maybe on a bit straighter path. But even if you're taking the super windy path, you're learning stuff. You're going to get there. So, there's not really mistakes. There's a lot of learnings. I never take the straight path. I don't ever do that.
Yeah, me
Constantly on
either.
the windy one.
Yeah, it's really interesting. I can tell that you're tapped in because like everything that you're speaking to is speaking to me on a different level.
Mm,
So, like, I am navigating something in my life right now where it's like, I already know what the answer to this thing is, but I don't feel settled in that answer. So I'm like, it's
mm.
very much like my guides are like, yeah, you know, that's okay that you know. And you're just gonna kind of keep going until you know more no, like until you more know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
it's like,
Till you're really, really sure about it. And even then you're
yeah,
probably not gonna be really sure about it. You're gonna gaslight yourself and second guess yourself, right?
yeah.
That's so many people's journeys. It's
Mhm.
I'm there all the time. I still do that to myself all the time. And I think it's partly part of our soul journey. And I think, to be honest, it's largely social conditioning, especially for women, to take that empowerment out of feeling like you can make your own decisions, and it's ancestral trauma and all this, stuff. So it's a hard one. We all go through that. I think a lot of it for me is not over analyzing so much, so not getting into my head about it. It's knowing where is my intuition sitting, and and this is where human design comes in for me. How do I make decisions best? And for
Yeah.
me, I'm a generator, and it's like that gut instinct. I have to just go with it. If I sit there and I think about it too much, that's not aligned with my energy, and that's how I make decisions that end up on the winding road, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes. Same here. It's like your gut knows, but your brain is like, yeah, but, and yeah, that brain speaks way louder than that gut sometimes, all the time,
yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
So,
mean, that's like from a straight somatic perspective. It's also not being in your body. It's being in your head, which is, I know, a very strange thing to say, because unless you are like one of the, like Marie Antoinette, your head is attached to your body. So that is your body, but it's not where you want to be,
right.
right? Like it's the same thing with like psychic work, for example. For most of the clairs, they're not in your head. They're inside of you, right? So you might hear it in your head, but for example, when I hear clairaudience, it's a very specific, almost behind my head, not even really in it,
Yeah.
And with clairvoyance, it's in my body. It's not like in my eyes, or I mean, and this is, of course,
Yeah.
different people have different things, but it's in your body. And when you're in your body, that's when you're more sure. We just tend to go outside, and then anxiety comes in and all the other stuff, and money worries. I don't know anyone, even my most evolved, wonderful, empowered friends. I don't know anyone who doesn't go through those periods. That would be stupid, because we're all humans, so no one's perfect like that. We're constantly evolving and learning. But it's
Totally.
just like, do you feel connected to yourself and feel like this is something that you're going to do and you're going to feel good about? And also, I don't know if you struggle with this, but this is probably the neurodivergence specifically for me, but like black and white thinking. So it's
Yes.
like that holds me back so much. I have to constantly coach myself of like, boo, this is fine. If you do it and it doesn't work out, nothing bad is happening. Just go back. It's fine. Minor thing.
Oh, totally. Like, or if you do this, now you must be signed up for life. And as
Yeah.
a manifesting generator, that is like a huge, like, ooh, to me because
Mhm.
I've been conditioned that I can't just quit. I can't just pivot. I can't just change. And so that's like that black and white or like that binary way of thinking. It's like stay or go. And if I stay, this is the story I've created about it. And if I go, this is the
Mm.
story I've created about it, and there's like no room for anything else, or
Mhm.
like go this way with business or go this way, and it's like there are infinite ways. And so like you, I often have to like talk myself off of that ledge. And I love how you brought up that even the most like it, even the people you look up to is on like a spiritual level or a personal level or whatever, they all get in times where they're completely in their head and they're not in their body, because I feel like we get into this, especially the perfectionists, and we get into this area where we almost beat ourselves up when we find that we've landed in our head again or whatever. And I just really love taking that out and being like, listen, we all do it. So if you catch
Mhm.
yourself doing it, hooray that you've caught yourself doing it. fucking rock on. Now you
Yeah.
know, and now you can get back on.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think I remember this is like maybe a bit of a tangent, but I remember a while ago I was doing a course about manifestation, and they were saying, you know, who do you look up to? Who's your idol? And I really had a problem with saying who my idol was. I was like, that's that's a really hard question for me to answer. I honestly, like, I can think about people that I admire or things that I think I love about them, but there's nobody that I like want to be or look up to. And I started internalizing that a lot of like, what's wrong with me? Everybody has an idol. I don't have an idol. I don't have an idol. What's wrong with me, you know? And then the more I kind of felt into that and connected, what I kind of realized is that I have this very growth mindset, and I also have a very, very critical thinking mindset. So because of the black and white thing as well, I look at people and I go, well, I really admired this about them, but I don't love everything about it because I don't agree with this point, or I don't like that they did this. That's not how I would do it. So I could never settle on an idol because there was no one that fit that. And I kind of had a huge lesson alone in that of like, but that's also how you treat yourself sometimes. So if you're not 100% down and perfect, then you don't do it, and you're holding yourself back from so much. And you mentioned stories, right? You create these stories, and I can go off for hours about how this is going to look and people think about this. And while I don't really care to a degree, I still make up these stories that are completely made up and have no base. And also at the end of the day, again, coaching myself of like, okay, and even if that happens, do you care? And I'm like, no. And then it's like, then why are you spending time thinking about this and letting it hold you back from anything you want to do? Like, I live the most Delulu life. Like, I literally am the person where people go, that makes so much sense that she did that, because it's nuts. And no one else would ever, like, I always shoot my shot. If I want to do something, I at least try to go for it. And I didn't always live that life. Like, that was, I really suppressed that side. But now I really do. And I think it's because I overcame that idea that I have to be fully, you know, I have control issues as well. Like that I have to be fully in control, and I have to know where everything's going to go, and it has to be perfect, and I have to be the best version of everything that I can be. And, you know, that part is really a buzzkill when it comes to living a really bold life. Because at the end of the day, like we talked about with resilience, you can fall down 10 times, but maybe the 11th time you don't fall down anymore. And that's so much when you're talking about shooting your shot, right? Like, I've reached out to 500 people for opportunities, and 499 have said no, but one said yes, you know? And at the end of the day, what's the worst that happens? They say no, and you go, cool, thank you. And that's it. It's that fear.
It's the fear, and it's that story that you tie to what it means when they say no.
Mm-hmm.
And how
Yeah, fear
that
value.
impacts your worthiness and your, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all of that stuff. So, man, I totally agreed when you said that you don't have an idol, because me either. And I had that like story in my mind about not having a type, like not
Mm-hmm.
having a type of person when you're dating. Like everybody would be like, what's your type? And I'm like, dude, I have dated all types of types. I don't have a type. And then I got in my head about it too. We had the same kind of like panic moment over different things, but it's kind of the same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I mean, I had so my upbringing was a weird mix of privileged and traumatic is the best way to like simply describe that. Yeah, I
Same.
had a lot of blessings in my life. Like, I had a lot of great opportunities that a lot of people didn't have. It was served with the side of parental and family trauma, you know,
Yeah.
as it is for some people. So I had kind of all of those kind of things, and then on top of it, I went 39 years with undiagnosed neurodiversity and shame around a lot of the things that came with that from young childhood. So I spent a whole life trying to fit in and be normal and do everything the way I was supposed to do it. Like, I masked so hard. Like, I was Jim Carrey. It was the biggest masking of ever. And so things like that would freak me out when I would realize that I wasn't doing something that everybody else did. And then I would like scramble. Like, okay, I have to do it. And then I feel like I suppressed that so much, I kind of forgot about that. So when I started doing a lot of the healing and living the life I actually wanted and doing all the removal of the layers and the conditioning and stuff, I was a completely different person internally than I thought, you know? Like, I remember my poor husband. He's so patient. We've been together for 18 years and he's seen, I mean, he must feel pretty satisfied. I think he's pretty much dated like 20 different women by being with me because I've been constantly changing. But we used to watch football together all the time. And then one day I was doing the healing work and then he goes, "Hey, want to watch football?" And I just looked at him completely dead faced and I go, "No, I don't like football." And he was like, "Okay." And I was like, "I don't like it. I've never liked it. I don't want to watch it. Super boring. I'm not going to watch it." And he was like, "Okay, all right." I mean, I was like, "You can watch it. I'm not watching it." And he was like, "Okay." And it was literally just like that one question. I realized like I did this for all of the wrong reasons and I actually don't enjoy it. And I started kind of, yeah, I mean, dude, just changing so many different things about that. And then also starting to ask my husband questions like, "Do you do this thing?" And he's like, "No." And I'm like, "Huh, I thought everybody did that." And he's like, "I don't." And then I start asking other neurotypical people, for example, "Do you do this?" And they're like, "Yeah," or "No." And I'm like, huh, I never thought of, like, for example, did you ever see that image where it showed how people with normal eyesight see lights and people with astigmatism see lights at nighttime? Have you ever seen that image?
Yes.
Yeah. That was eye-opening for me. And it was like that for so many other
Does he
things
have
where I'm just like,
astigmatism?
yeah.
So do
Yeah.
I.
But I mean, okay, yeah. So like I literally ran up to my husband. I showed him that. Is this how you see lights? And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Oh my God, why am I driving at night? That's dangerous, honestly."
Seriously.
You know? Yeah, I know. I'm like literally like I am blinded. I don't know. I don't know how this is safe. But that's been like the past 7 years of my life was revelations like that degree where you're suddenly just like, I didn't know that people can't feel energy or that they don't hear things in their head the way that I do or just know things. Like I just kind of thought, I mean, I knew that seeing dead relatives was not something that most people knew. I've watched TV. I'm not, that sheltered. I've seen that before. But for the most part, there were so many things that I didn't realize were spiritual or, so then I've just been connecting that. And that I feel like this is the most ADHD conversation of my life where I've gone down 50 million paths. But to answer the longest question in the world, that's how I kind of have like gone with how I make decisions and how I trust myself is that path and that learning. I feel like a lot of people have the same path in that they have to learn to trust themselves. I mean, when I got connected to my spirit team and everything, I used to go to them for everything. I was like, "Okay, should I do this? Should I not do this? Is this okay? Is that like, what am I supposed to do here?" They devastatingly at the time cut off a lot of the communication with me. And I was really heartbroken about it. I mean, once you have that connection with yourself and with your team, it feels very empty and disconnected not to have it anymore. So I actually had to go to my mentor, who's a medium, and ask her if she could tell me what was going on. And she was like, "Are you asking them for like guidance on every decision?" And I was like, "But yeah, because they're my team."
Right. We're supposed to be able to
She
do
was
that.
like, right? And she was like, "Yeah, that's not what they're for, babe. They're not there to tell you what to do. They're there to support you and guide you, but you have to trust yourself. That's part of your human journey here. You can't just, outsource everything." It's such a fine line because you're like, I want your guidance, but I know that I also have to make this. I mean, I tried to get sneaky with it. So I have other friends who are psychic and I would be with them and they'd be like, "Oh, I just had like this hit from your team or whatever." And I'm like, "Oh, do you know anything about like what I should do about this situation?" And she's like, "Okay, your team told you to stop asking people this question. We're not going to answer it. You have to do it yourself." And I'm like, "Damn it." I was trying to work around it.
I've gone through that period where they just kind of like nothing, and it is like crazy. It's scary. It feels like you're missing something. Feels like for the first time ever, you're alone. It is a very odd and devastating feeling. So I feel you there. And I've also had my guides be like, they just always say, "You already know." Like,
Yeah. Yeah. But that's That's such a good segue into the whole Leo season thing, because Leo season is so much about just being your most Delulu main character energy self. Like, I always work with the energy. So I know we just talked about this a little bit on TikTok through an exchange, but there's the 8-8 Lionsgate portal, which is, you know, historically a huge portal for manifestation. That's what everyone's talking about. But this year feels really different to me in that the planetary energies, the energies, I'm mainly clairsentient, so I feel mostly energy. It does not feel like you're supposed to come up with new things to bring in, because everything in the world and their mother is also retrograding. Like, it's all introspective. It's all like, what do you need? I mean, it could be, for example, like, what do you need to bring in for yourself? Like, what internal qualities do you need to embody in the next, you know, chapter that we're going into? Like, I'm a pagan. If there's any other pagans, you know, the wheel of the year, like, we're about to start this new wheel of the year. So it's kind of like the end of the year. And it's very much about new beginnings and numerology. 2025 is a 9-year, it's endings, right? So the Leo energy is so big. And it's like, you know, pretend you're the main character in a movie. Live that way. Honestly, I tell people that all the time because I do it. Like, romanticize your life, live as a main character. It's so helpful. Like, it's that fake it till you make it Delulu energy that helps you believe in yourself when you're like, I don't know if I can do this. It's like, what would Jess in a romantic comedy being played by Sandra Bullock do? And then do that thing, you know? And this Lionsgate, I feel like, is saying, use this energy to dream big, but first, you gotta understand what's holding you back. You gotta let go of these internal introspective things that you found out. Hopefully, if you're working with this planetary energy now, figure out what you gotta let go of. What's holding you back from doing these things? What's keeping you scared? What's keeping you feeling, I mean, you're gonna feel out of control. You honestly, if you're doing it the right way, you should feel out of control, because part of it is like, you have to just surrender and go with it. And if you try to control it, you're stopping it. So you have to get really comfortable with being like, you know, like that kid on the roundabout Ferris wheel thing that's just like laid back, you know, like, that's you. You do that, it's great, you know. And
Totally.
with the Leo energy, it's all about that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I can't tell you how many times I've said within the last few weeks, like, man, I feel like I am being dragged through the mud. So
Mm.
even if, like, for those of you listening, like, even if you don't, like, you can't understand why you feel the way you feel, if you're just feeling that, like, that's what you're feeling. You're feeling that retrograde, the planetary energy, and that's what Jess is saying of like, maybe now isn't the time to be calling in all of this like big amazing stuff. Maybe the time now is
Yeah.
to look at like, okay, what's actually stopping you from the big amazing stuff you want.
Yeah. I
Totally
mean,
agree
I
with
always
that.
I always tell people, like, do you feel like doing a ritual? Then do a ritual.
Yeah.
But don't do a ritual just because somebody online tells you that it's the 8-8 portal and you should do it, because ultimately also it could not work. Like, it could do absolutely nothing, and it's just a waste, and you're tired and now you drained your energy. It's you know, some people are probably not feeling the retrogrades as much, and so maybe those people feel like, you know, doing it. I'm the same as you. Like, I have literally been no energy. Every wound, everything that I've healed over the past years is coming back to visit, to just be like, do you care anymore? Or is there anything else we're missing here? What's going on? What do you still need to do? That's the energy I'm living in. And I just had that realization of like, I saw something that was like, oh, 8-8 portals coming up and this is how you should manifest. And I was just like, no.
I actually am so grateful I saw that video because I was feeling pressure. And
Mm,
I'm somebody who, like, I don't necessarily always manifest or do things like on the new moon. I don't always necessarily manifest or on the big stuff. And I a little bit like some of me wonders like, am I self-sabotaging? And that's the way I was feeling with this 8-8 portal is like I just don't feel like I want to do that. Then I was wondering, like, is this self-sabotage or is this you don't feel it? So when you said the energy, I was like, bingo, that's what I was feeling. Like it wasn't self-sabotage. It's just like I don't have it in me right now
yeah,
to
totally.
like go there. I'm too busy releasing still.
Yeah. And I mean, self-sabotaging is such a good topic to tie in there, because that is a sneaky way that we self-sabotage ourselves, is like, my energy's not feeling it today. And I mean, I have so many clients that we talk about this, because they're like, well, I scheduled it in, but then something happened. And I'm like, okay, so, but that is self-sabotage, because if you wanted to do it, you would do it. But the difference is it a pattern? So for every single time there's a portal, or every time there's a new moon or something, are you every single time finding a reason why you don't want to do it? Then it's a pattern, then it's self-sabotage, you know? But if it's once in a while and you're just like, I don't feel this right now, then, you know, but that's the importance of being connected to yourself and knowing how your energy feels. Because I remember who I was talking to. I was talking to somebody else, one of my other spiritual people on TikTok, that like, there's just so much energetic hugeness going on right now. We have like the, you know, all the retrogrades of the planets, which have this like heavy internal introspective energy. And then I don't know what the heck's going on with like the Earth's electromagnetic field. And there's something else going on. I mean, I wake up at random hours and my whole body feels like I'm being electrocuted. I'm just like, what planet is doing this?
Okay, I was just having a conversation with a girl the other day because I was so exhausted and I tried to lay down and take a nap. And I felt like every cell in my body was vibrating. And then I said that to my girlfriend and she was like, dude, I felt like that too. I don't remember the day before or something.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, whether it's the Schumann, whether it's planets, who knows
Yeah.
what it is, but
It's just,
it is
it's a
something.
lot going on. Yeah. So I'm also just like telling everybody, and including myself, just like, dude, just take it easy right now. It's an intense time. I mean, we know from so many things that like stuff is coming. I'm also getting that message. Like there's some shift, something bigger is coming. And this is all kind of collective awakening energy. It's transformational energy. We all have to kind of do our part for the whole, right? And part of that is also honoring yourself. So it's Leo season and I'm on here telling you to live Delulu, right? But if you're like, I just want to frickin' sleep, Jess, then sleep, girl. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to listen to me and be like, I have to do it because Jess said it's Leo season and this is the only time to do it. You can do this any time of the year. Like, it's just working with the energy. That's what I mean with the Leo season, right? So, like, for example, I always do what I kind of call the path of Persephone, or Persephone's journey, which is around October time, well, yeah, around October time, autumn equinox, I kind of start to go inward more. So I do a lot of like shadow work during that time. And then I reemerge in the spring as, you know, the story of Persephone coming out of Hades' domain and everything, with those new insights so that I can kind of go, because that's how my energy kind of manifests in life. I don't know if it's because I live in the Nordics and we have like 2 hours of sunlight, maybe a day in the winter, but it's a really good time to be introspective and to do, I mean, I do a lot of psychic work, much more than in the summer in that period. So that's knowing my energy and my cycles and all this other stuff and working with it, which flows so much better. So I'm not going to manifest anything on 8/8. I don't feel like it. I feel like doing a meditation to see what comes through. And then there's a full moon after. So I do tend to work with the moons. But again, when I feel like it, I'll probably do a releasing based on whatever comes through the day before and then do that. That's kind of my plan. That being said, if I wake up on the 8th or the 9th and I'm like, I don't want to do any of this, I'm not going to do it. You can't get punished for it. It's not school. You know what I mean? Yeah. That's not how the universe works.
And you're not going to miss out on anything either.
No.
That's the thing, is like sometimes when you get on TikTok and you get hyped by all of these people that's like, do this, do this, do this ritual, do that ritual, whatever, it can make you feel like, oh no, if you don't do this, you're going to then not get the manifestation or whatever, not receive what you're meant to receive, or all of that thing. And it's like, you're not going to miss out. You're going to get what you're going to get your life. You're not going to miss anything. What's destined
No.
for you will be there.
Totally. Yeah. And I think, you know, how it gets to you and how it goes is up to you, right? Like when you start seeing things come into your path, or you see these signs or things like that, you know, do you follow them? And if you follow them, you have a better chance of aligning If you choose not to follow them because you don't feel like it or you have a lot of stuff going on in your life right now, it's not going to miss you. It'll come back around probably in a different way. I mean, everyone has a different belief system. My belief system changes as I expand and grow and experience things. My current situation is kind of that we have feelings or we have certain experiences that we sign up for that we want to have. How they play out is very different. If you turn down one sign because you're not ready for it or whatever, it'll come back around, and it just might come back around in a different way. And you also don't know how it's going to turn out. You know, maybe you're not ready, or maybe you self-sabotage when you get in there. It's going to come back around, and then you'll get it. Like, you're not going to miss the things that are meant for you. They will come through. It's just, again, how are you getting there? How are you taking control of it? That's the whole point of the free will and why you need to learn to make your own decisions.
Yeah, totally. So, like, kind of to bring this down to earth for people, like, say, for instance, I mean, this is just like, not everybody's, but a lot of people are manifesting money. So we'll just use that as an example.
Great
So,
example.
say, for example, you are manifesting $1 million, but an opportunity presents itself to you, but like maybe you don't feel worthy of that opportunity yet. Maybe you get in there, you self-sabotage it, whatever. What Jess is saying then is it's like, okay, maybe that exact opportunity isn't coming back to you, but it will be brought to you in a different avenue, maybe a different job opportunity, maybe you'll start a business, whatever. All of the different, kind of getting out of that black and white thinking of like, it doesn't necessarily always have to come from the way you think it's going to come. It could come from any way. Maybe you could inherit that money.
Maybe you get hit by a mail truck and then you win a lawsuit. You never know.
I mean, exactly. Like, that's what she's saying is like, it can come about so many different ways. It's just up to us of like, which avenue we're going to take, when we're going to take it, if we do the work to be able to hold it. You could become a millionaire and then you could squander it all away. Like, that's
because you might not be ready. I mean, that's something that I literally just talked about. Like, somebody was manifesting more followers on Instagram and they wanted to go viral and get a ton of followers. And I was having this very frank discussion of them of, do you think your nervous system is ready to do that? And what comes with that? And the work you're going to have to do to upkeep that. And they were like, I don't know. I'm like, okay, so let's say you get all these followers and a lot of them are not saying nice things. Like, what if your video goes viral, but all the comments are kind of nasty comments? Can you not internalize that? And they were like, no. And I'm like, then you're not going to have that manifestation. That's why it's not coming through. You're not ready to hold that yet. And it's, again, this control thing of like, we want to control it, want to control the timing. And divine timing, dude, don't even get me started on that because I'm not a patient person. But that is like, in its own time, it's going to come to you. You have to let go of the outcome. And sometimes, as I have learned many times, you get the thing you're asking for as a lesson. Either because it's not actually something that you really want, but you think you should want, or to show you why you're not ready for that.
Yeah, that's kind of like when people say the universe is testing you. That's kind of what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I think the universe always has your best intentions at heart. So for some people, they don't like the word test because they're like, it's not a test. And you can call it, I really don't care about labels. You call it whatever you want to call it, right? But you have to let go of the outcome. Because if we go back to your example of $1 million, right? You might get an opportunity where you've been manifesting $1 million and then someone comes to you and they say, hey, we have this business proposal and the investor will give us $1 million, but we have to like do this pitch and we have to go in for it. If you immediately jump to, I'm getting the $1 million now because I was manifesting it and this is it. This is the opportunity. And then you go in there and then you don't get the $1 million. You will be heartbroken. You will internalize that, again, to your point, into your self-worth a lot of the time, and that you did something wrong or something's wrong with you, when in reality, maybe there was just something that you had to learn from that experience, and that experience actually wasn't the right one for you. There's an even better one coming that's even more aligned, but you can't go into things with this expectation of how they're going to play out. You just don't know. And honestly, I think the universe is a funny bitch. Like, they like to have fun with stuff. And if you don't believe me, ask your guides for a really random funny sign and they will give it to you. Or, I mean, I have a great example of that. One time I asked for an otter and I was being a sassy bitch. So my guides have a really good sense of humor. So I was like, fine, I want to see an otter. And then like 5 hours later, I went running And when I came back, I opened up my Instagram, and the first story was from a news article about a woman who went running and got attacked by otters. I kid you not. And I was like, I just burst out laughing because the universe is funny. It has a great sense of humor.
Yeah.
And sometimes I feel like I'm a little bit the butt of the joke, but you have to have this sense of humor as well of like, it is for your best interests. And you can internalize things. You just have to kind of, again, I'm a somatic practitioner. So everything's like, let yourself feel your emotions. Don't be ruled by them. Let yourself feel it so you don't trap them. Process, integrate, learn the lessons, let it go. Don't get in the cycle of healing where you just keep going around and around in the lesson, right? So you have to let yourself feel it, but don't internalize it. Don't go through an opportunity, lose out on that opportunity, and look at it as a loss because it just wasn't meant for you.
Yeah, totally agree with everything you said. I have the hardest time feeling emotion. I have not met anybody like me that has the I can't even tell you how much effort it takes for me to allow myself to cry. It is
What?
absurd. And
What
like
is
I
your
said,
moon?
Aquarius
Okay.
in the
That's
12th
watery,
house.
isn't it?
No, air
Air. Okay. I thought it was water. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you're all out of body.
in the 12th house. So that baby
Yeah.
is like unknown to me. And it is, but I I I feel it in my body. It shows up as different ways, but to let it out is crazy difficult for me. So I'm gonna have to hit you up with some somatic stuff because it's been something that's been calling to me and I haven't worked through
I
it.
have but this is the thing. All the women I work with have a problem releasing and feeling the emotions. And it's usually its own little special recipe of why that is, right?
Yeah.
And there could be, of course, as I asked about your astrology, there could be some sort of cosmic reason why. A lot of times it's societal conditioning, it's, some sort of trauma, or, I mean, I say the word trauma just to clarify, like, there's like big T trauma and then there's just trauma. Like getting lost in the store when you were 6 because you couldn't find your mom, like you register that as the worst thing in the whole world when it's, she was right next to you, you just didn't see her. But still, your body, your nervous system holds that, right? So there literally could have been like one instance where you were shamed or said, told you weren't allowed to cry or something, and that like sits so heavy in your subconscious. And then you do a subconscious visualization or journey where you find that one thing and then suddenly it makes possible. I mean, I am a feeler. I'm a Cancer moon, so I feel everything heavily. Very emotional, always have been. But the lesson also with somatic is that it's so good to feel your feelings and get them out of your body and learn to regulate them because you just feel so much more connected and open. The happiness is happier. I will say, though, that, you have to be very regulated because you feel things more. So you get angrier, you get sadder, you feel things much bigger. You have to have the tools to understand how to de-trigger, how to regulate before you get dysregulated, that kind of stuff. So I always say, like, I am more than happy to give you tools to help you. I love helping people feel their emotions and unpack all that stuff. But like buckle in, because for some people, it's a roller coaster. I think it's a great roller coaster, but it's a roller coaster.
Well, I am already well onto that journey because, like, my husband was like, "You have gotten so sensitive." I was like, "Yeah, yes, I
Yeah.
have. I am aware. I am aware. Now we just need to get it out of my body."
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I think it's really, really good, especially, it's such an interesting thing for both men and women. We have like similar but completely different societal conditioning around our emotions. So like boys are told you can't feel your emotions because boys don't cry, boys don't feel those things, you have to be tough. And then women are told also that it makes you weak and too feminine and too emotional to show your emotions. So it's like the same message, but somehow it has like a completely different weight to it in how it shows up in you, and how you feel you need to express it.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally, totally. Like, as a woman, you're just automatically more emotional and you're irrational and all of these
Yeah.
things. And then, yeah, and then men are just like, but to be a man, you don't feel feelings.
No, exactly. And for women, it's like women, if you cry, then you're being emotional, right? But
Yes.
men are never emotional. Men aren't emotional. Anger isn't an emotion.
Correct.
Frustration, not an emotion. Irrational rage, not an emotion. Like,
No.
they're not emotional. And you're like, dude, there's a whole spectrum of emotions. You're emotional. You're more emotional than anyone I know.
Uh-huh.
You just never been able to, or you've never been told or taught how to regulate or how to not be that way, you
Right.
know? Whereas
Right.
women just internalize everything. So men release their emotions in a different way, and women internalize everything until you want to, punch someone in the face.
Right. Right. Or you're so mad that you cry. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, because we've all been there. I mean, I remember when I was in corporate having a meeting with my boss and turning off the camera, and he was like, "Could you turn your camera on?" I was like, "No." And he was like, "Are you crying?" And I was like, "I'm really angry right now, okay? I don't want you to see it."
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
definitely
yeah.
been there.
Yep. Yep. Totally. Okay. So is there anything else you want to talk to us about Leo season?
Yeah, I mean, I think back to how I am and how I work with people, I just encourage everyone to try it because there's literally like, okay, I don't want to get sued here. So I'm not gonna say there's nothing you can do that will turn out bad, but like if you're using your rational mind and critical thinking, romanticizing your life little by little, taking your shot on things just because you can, this is such a great time to do it because the energy's backing you up. You already have this energy. It's bigger than life. That's about being the main character. I mean, for example, you can do the littlest things. Like where I live, we bike. So I can bike and I'll pretend that I'm a main character in a movie. And I will just love my bike ride and I'll kind of listen to some music and I'll kind of dance around and feel it. And I imagine like, people being like, "Wow, she's having a great time on that bike. She looks so happy." Like just do that because the thing is that when you live like that, I mean, we've heard of method acting, right? And then where people go off the deep end because they method acted too much. Like, it is a little bit like that. You live in that energy. Your subconscious, your nervous system starts to regulate to that energy. So it makes it easier for you to go out and live a bigger life. So and there's also like desensitization, basically, or exposure therapy. So if you're scared of shooting your shot, now is a great time to try it because again, the worst that can happen is it doesn't really happen. And if you think it's embarrassing or cringe or whatever, please learn to just do it anyway because those two things are societal things that hold us back so much. And who cares what other people think? But when you do it, it gets less scary. If you send an email asking someone for something or you take your shot on something that seems completely out there, you'll find out the more you do it, it becomes less scary. It doesn't hurt. And eventually, statistically, you're likely to have something happen. So just use this season to live that huge, big, bold life that you imagine living because it will help you anchor that energy into yourself of living that way.
I love the way that you were describing, like, live your big, bold life. Because I feel like, back to that black and white thinking, when people think about a big, bold life, it's automatically like, oh, I could never. But when
Uh-huh.
you're talking about those little ways that you can romanticize things, it's like, I could pretend while I'm riding a bike. That's fine. And it's like
Yeah.
you're literally just playing pretend in your life
Yeah.
right now.
Do it. I mean, make your coffee. Like, I don't know. Who do you want to be? Do you want to be like some, actress or something? Then pretend that you're this actress getting ready to go to work on some big set and make your coffee as if you're that person. It also, from a very spiritual standpoint, I firmly believe that it sends a signal out. This is what I'm going for. When you talk about manifesting, for example, like you have to believe something is possible for you. If you don't believe it's possible, your energy is not going to match up. You have to believe it. And part of that is living it and feeling like, oh, I did this. And
Feeling.
that felt great. I liked it. Like
Yeah.
just pretend, just do these little pretend things.
Yeah, totally. Like once again, life isn't meant to be so serious. You can play
No.
around, you can experiment, and if you think that you want to be an actress, then play around that you're an actress for the day. See how it feels. See were you lit up in your body? Did it excite you? Did you
Yeah.
feel that energy coursing through you? Okay, cool. Do more of that because that feeling is going to help bring in that manifestation so much faster because the feelings is
Yeah.
what you're looking for.
Yeah, and totally. And that's a great point as well, because if you think you want to be an actress and then you go for it and you realize, I actually don't like how this makes me feel, it makes me feel really bad, then you can find out what does make me feel really good. Maybe
Uh-huh.
that's something I thought I wanted and I actually don't like how I feel when I'm like that. Then you can find what actually makes you feel good and move towards that, right? So it is so important, I think, to just try. I mean, the number of people who say like, "Oh, it's not possible for me," or "That's not possible," and it's like, "Why? Have you tried it?" No. Oh, okay. Well, then it could be.
Yes. Ever since I was a young child, I thought I wanted to be a teacher. So you get into
Hmm.
that. And like, of course, in the US, you only think of a teacher one way, a school teacher, And then
Yeah.
I got graduated high school and I started telling people that I wanted to be a teacher. And everybody was like, you do not want to be a teacher because they make zero money. You do not want to be a teacher. And so then I was
Right.
like,
The marker of
okay.
success in most countries.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when I was like, okay, I guess you're right. I don't want to be a teacher. And then I just kind of floundered for a while. And then it's like, well, what do we think Morgan's doing right now? And so it's kind of like you might want to be a actress, but actually maybe you want to do something else that is like you're still using those core abilities of an actress, but you're applying them in a different way. So that kind of stuff can happen too as you're on your journey. So like once again, don't have it nailed down that like this
Yeah.
is it. Be open to the possibilities that it's like you might be a teacher, but you might not be teaching school. You could be teaching any other way through life.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and that's also part of what I do is like exactly that. Like if this makes you happy, what is it about that makes you happy? When you find out why that thing makes you happy, it opens up so many possibilities because it's not just that one thing. It's I like how this makes me feel, or I like doing this specific thing because of this reason. And it's like, cool. Did you know that there's 20 other jobs where you get to do pretty much that exact same thing, just in a different industry or a different thing? And then it's like, oh, no, I didn't know that. I was only thinking about this one thing. It's again letting go of that control and that outcome of what you think it should be. And it's such a good point, too, because your purpose will change. So, what makes you happy in one season of your life doesn't necessarily make you happy in another season. Or you might
Uh-huh.
be really good at something, but it doesn't make you happy.
It's kind of that idea that like you feel like once you get to that one place, you're going to be done healing. You're going to have the job you want. You're going to be at the end of the road. You're going to be happy. It's it's like the most sickening thing to say, but it's just bringing it back to the life is a journey.
Yeah.
And we don't ever get to the end. You
Yeah.
think you might get to the end. You think you might get to that career. You think you might get that manifestation. And then you're going to evolve and you're going to change. And then it's like, okay, that was just a pit
Yeah.
stop. On to the next thing.
Yeah, but that's why, title of your podcast, Oops, I'm Evolving. It's like
Yeah.
you should always be evolving. I remember viscerally crying in my bathtub for like 8 hours the day after my wedding, and my husband being so scared that I regretted marrying him, and it just being like, no, I just don't know what I'm supposed to do with myself anymore. Like, I followed the plan. I went to high school, I went to university, I got married, and I have to wait a couple years to have kids. I don't want to have kids now. And it's like, what do I do for 4 years? And then when I had kids, I had the same feeling of like, I got done having children, and then I was like, am I just useless now? Like, I mean, there's that female aspect of it. Society kind of tells you that you've done your part now. And so that is where I experience, and I feel a lot of women experience this like what now feeling of like, what am I supposed to do now? And if you don't follow this traditional, life path that's laid out for you by the patriarchy, then it's even more confusing for some people of like, I didn't follow this traditional thing, and I don't, I didn't have kids, or I didn't get married, or I had kids really late, or whatever way you live your life, and then you get this kind of societal pressure of that not being what it should be. And I think it's such an important thing to realize, as you were saying, that you are constantly evolving and you're constantly changing, and you go through so many different seasons of your life where things will change and be different, and you should be open to that. Because when you get those nudges, or like you're at a job and it's like, this doesn't feel right for me, I'm not happy here anymore, but this is what I got a degree in, this is what I do. So I can find another company and do the same thing, or I just stay here. And then a lot of people get stuck because then they're like, I'm just going to stay here. It's easier. There's not, I have it okay here. It's good enough. And I swear to God, I will not judge anyone for how they live their life. But for me personally, if I get to the end of this lifetime and my overall feeling was, it's pretty okay, I'm going to smack myself in the face. Like, no, you don't want to live a pretty okay life. Don't you want to live like the life that you want to? I mean, I'm not saying it has to look a certain way. For some people, living the big life is living, in the country and having chickens and cows and being, a homesteader and whatever. Like, if that's your big life, that's your big life. And I guarantee you it's possible. If your big life is being a NASA astronaut, I mean, competition is thick, but I bet you can get somewhere near it, to your point. You can do something, right? Like, go for it. Do you want to get to the end of your life and be like, I did not take all the chances I wish that I did? Because at some point it will be too late. Like, I'm pretty sure you'll get in the Guinness Book of World Records, but I don't think there's a 98-year-old astronaut. So like, you missed the time there.
Yeah. Yep. And I think like we've all looked back at our life and been like, oh, I wish before I had kids I did more traveling. Or, I mean, it's like you already look at it. Like we're already experiencing that part in our life where we look back and we're like, oh, shoot, I wish I would have went bigger during this season of my life. So to your point, yeah, let's not make that be every season of our life. Let's not be like, okay, I played small in my first 30 years, and now I'm going to play small in my next 30 years, and then I'm going to play small in the 30 years after that, and then, hey, look, I'm going to be gone. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I see it in so many women that they hold these regrets. And regrets, honestly, to be a hard ass about it, they're absolutely useless because there's nothing you can do about that. But what you can do is be like, I'm not going to continue this behavior. I'm not going to continue this pattern. I'm going to change it. Because, to what you said, I wish I traveled more before I had kids. Well, you didn't.
Right.
So I guess store that away for your next life. Maybe that's something that you want to do. But like, travel now. You can still travel. Do it. Don't just keep thinking about how you wish you did something. Like wishing, what's that saying? Wish in one hand
Shit in the other.
Poop in the other or something, Like, it's just do it. You have so much power inside of you. I feel such a passion for empowering women of like, yes, do it.
Yeah.
Go do it. Like if you want a friend to talk you out of something, do not come to me because I'm going to be like, yes, you should totally do that. If you want to do that, it's going to make you happy. You should do it. And I'm going to support you. I'm going to be there for you to do that. Like, I just think it's so important. I mean, I'm actually building a group program right now that's called The Spark. And it's literally to help especially women who I feel very passionate working with, to realize that like that spark never goes out. That spark is in there. And all it takes is just a little bit of a light and you're going to catch fire. You're going to freaking blaze. But sometimes we need help with that, right? Sometimes we have to remember, we have to refine that spark, but it's there. You don't have to get it from somewhere else. You don't have to look outside of yourself, but you have to go inside of yourself and reignite it. And boom, go live your life.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I can't speak to men, but I do feel like women like lose their sparkle, and you go through seasons. Like I'm a little bit in one right now. Like things are really heavy, you just kind of lose a little bit of that like sparkle that you have. But I feel like with women, we get so bogged down, and maybe men do too, but we get so bogged down in our identities are in raising our children. Our identities are in, doing all of these things for everyone else that, like you said, that spark just kind of gets covered. It just gets smothered a little bit. And then it's up to us to kind of start peeling back those blankets that we threw over that spark so that we can get to her again. So I love that. I'm excited for that program.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think it's so important because, as you said, like, you go through cycles. Everyone goes through cycles. I mean, as we talked about, even the best, most evolved people are going to go through hard times. We all are going to continue. If you're doing it right, you're going to continuously evolve. And evolving requires removing things, going through some hard times, right? But you have to get out of it. And women tend to, like you said, go through these seasons, give away so much of our own agency, put others before ourselves, be that nurture, right? But completely forget ourselves. And because we're also criticized and held to different standards than men in so many different ways, we adopt that internally. So we get in this like toxic healing cycle, which I know sounds weird as a healer to say this, but you can get stuck in this cycle where you're never living. You're just constantly trying to fix yourself because you feel like something is broken. And as soon as you make one step forward, you're like, great, now I'm going to fix this other thing about me. And it's not about fixing you. There's nothing wrong with you at all. So like there's a difference between healing wounds because they're holding you back and living in this toxic cycle of not releasing it and just continuing to live in that pain and never actually living. It also keeps you in a victim mindset, which is very unempowering,
Totally. And I think some people forget that healing is ultimately about finding these parts of yourself and loving it. Like, okay, you
Totally.
see this little girl who shies away from being seen because she's fearful that, whatever, she doesn't feel safe or whatever. It's like finding that and loving that. Like that's what the point is, and that's where the power is. And that's like to your point, how we can stop letting these things hold us back and start like integrating them into who we are, where we can be like, okay, I see you, little girl, but I'm going to hold you and I'm going to tell you that it's okay, and we're going to make this big scary step together. And that's where the power is, rather than just sitting in that cycle, like you said, making yourself a victim, always trying to fix yourself. It's like we're not trying to fix anything.
Totally. Because you're just repeating that pattern, right? Like that little child inside of you was criticized. And by coming at it with this, I have to fix you, you're just keeping her in that something's wrong with you box, when in reality it all starts with self-love. Every time you feel that you make a mistake, every time you react a way that you wish you didn't, every time you have some sort of trigger come up, it's not about criticizing yourself or holding yourself to a standard. It's about empathizing and holding space for that side of you. Like I love internal family systems. If you have you heard of that, where so I love internal family systems. I use it a lot. It's basically this idea in psychology that we have so many different parts of ourselves that we exile based on, societal conditioning, upbringing, our own ideals of what we think is good. And then we try to distance them from who we are. So we lock them away and we don't access them. And this is where a lot of our unintended, unwanted, destructive behavior comes from, because you can't cut these parts of yourself off. They're still there, and they come up at the worst times, because they just want to be heard and they want to be part of the conversation, and you keep shushing them, they're going to come back in really bad ways. And it also makes you feel very fractured and like you're not you're fully authentically yourself. So part of it is going in and holding that space and befriending and reintegrating these parts. And I feel like they make you this whole version of yourself that you're meant to be. And it's about understanding and listening, but not letting these parts of yourself rule. So, for example, I have a real bitchy side that comes from the fact that I had a lot of traumatic things happen. So I have a very protective side, which comes out as a really fierce, bitchy person. And I used to really hide that, and it made me into a doormat for the most part, but it would also come out as like a raging version of herself at people that I didn't want it to come out at, but I felt safe coming out to those people because I figured that, like my poor husband, for example, he was my husband, so I could be this raging person in front of him and take out their frustrations because of that, right? And once I befriended her and really worked at it, I feel that it helps me to stand up for myself more and to understand when I'm being taken advantage of, when people are not doing things that are okay with me. But like, whereas she might want to come in and be like, okay, I'm like, hey, love the energy. We're just going to like hold that for a minute. What would be like a constructive way to go about this? That's a very idealized way of talking about it, but that's kind of how it works inside of you. I acknowledge that I have this reaction, and it's a trigger for me of something about this interaction I'm having does not feel okay to me, and let me understand what that is.
Yes, love that. I wrote it down because I'm like, ooh, I'm gonna dig into that.
It's
Yeah,
a good
that's a
one.
good one. Okay, podcast. When are you releasing
Yeah.
it? What are we gonna talk about? I'm very excited.
Yeah. I am super excited about it. I'm like full 2 feet in. That's pretty much the only way I do anything anymore. But it's called No Way, Tell Me Everything. And it's basically going to be like a kind of mishmash. It's going to be what I assume will be a great look into my internal world of how I function. So I'm hoping to have some really great guests on. I want to have you on, of course, we spoke about, and I have some other really strong women with really great stories from the spiritual world, from, the 3D world, starting your own business, a lot of healing stuff. And I just want to share stories because I feel like I have learned so much from listening to podcasts, exactly like you said in the beginning here, where people just talk and share their stories and talk about their learnings and everything. It's really helped me grow. And so if I can even help one person, that's great. And then I also am going to kind of do long form things that I've learned, that I share, that I work with my clients on, and channeling. So part of the reason I'm starting is also because I think my family and friends need a break, honestly, from all of the yapping that I have to get out from this. But I get so many downloads and channels of things that they want me to talk about. And TikTok and Instagram isn't cutting it because it's too short. I can't talk about all the nuance and things in a way that I feel is beneficial for people to understand the broader topics. So things like why critical thinking is important, how to get unstuck from the healing cycle. They have like a whole list. They did a huge download of things that they think I should touch on. And also a lot of mix of like practical somatic healing stuff, subconscious reprogramming. Maybe I'll do some meditation stuff in there. And then also some spiritual stuff. Like the stuff that I learned the hard way, I kind of want to share. Like there's some really weird spiritual awakening symptoms that happen that can be really confusing that I never learned about. So I want to do an episode on like, these are like 5 things that I went through when I went through my big spiritual awakening that no one told me about.
Oh my gosh, I'm so
So that kind of stuff.
excited. I'm so excited. This
Me
sounds
too.
incredible. There aren't very many podcasts that like fill my needs. And I feel like this one is like, ooh, this is what I've been wanting and looking for. So I'm very excited.
I hope that it ends up being really great and not just me talking for like an hour in circles, because that has happened. I'm going to try to not structure it too much because that does not work for me and my personality or how I work with
Yeah.
spirit. But I agree. Like, I mean, there are so many podcasts. So originally people kept telling me like, listen, what we just talked about for an hour was amazing. You should put that in a podcast. And I was so reluctant. I was like, listen, there's so many podcasts. Like, who needs another middle-aged white woman with a microphone? Like, I don't think that I need to do this. But after more nudging, and I could also feel it from my guides now of like, no, we need to do this. Like, even if only 2 people listen, for your expression, you have to do this. You just have to. I mean, I did a tarot reading and an oracle reading for myself where I asked this question of like, I feel like this is what I should be doing and everything, but like, what do I need to know going into this? And the whole reading was just about expression. It was self-expression. So I'm doing this for me. This is my expression. I'm doing this for spirit so they can get stuff out through me. And however it ends up going, it ends up going. But I love talking. I do it all the time. Might as well do something with it. It's just going out into the ether right now, and other people who are, not subscribing to it. So
Well, and that's just it, Sometimes you're getting all of these amazing messages, and to your point, when we're creative and we're going through with our self-expression and what we're being called to do and whatever, it's like so many people can let those stats hold them back, or like feel like, oh my gosh, my podcast is only getting 50 downloads a week or whatever. And it's like, well, listen, do you talk to 50 people every week about this? No, you don't. Like, you're greatly impacting those 50 people's lives, because if they can take one nugget out of every single episode, they're learning things that they would have never learned before, while you're getting to be creative and having your self-expression, and you're exploring and learning things. And because you are channeling when you're speaking, it's like you're gonna go back and you're gonna edit things. This happens to me all the time where like I edit things and I was like, holy shit, that was a good point. So like you're gonna have those experiences too. And
Yeah. Those moments are so wild, by the way. Like, I'll be having a conversation with someone and I'll say something, and literally, like, I will be done saying it and they'll be like, can you just repeat that? And I'm like, no, that wasn't
I
me.
lost it.
So I don't exactly remember, like, I literally don't remember exactly what it was. I just remember, like, that feeling. I don't know. Like, no, I can't. Sorry. So, I mean, it's true. I have to record it coming out of my mouth because sometimes it's like I'll get a thought in my head and it's like, oh, they want me to talk about that. But sometimes it is literally just a straight channel. It's just through. And I can feel when I go into that state because I get my vibration, my energy feels different. So then I just am like, don't edit yourself. Don't think about it. Just let it come through. But yeah, otherwise it's
Yeah.
gone.
So typically when I do my episodes, I'll like I'll have like a download about what I kind of want to talk about. And then I'll like sit down and kind of journal about it and like get my thoughts out and whatever. It's kind of like a co-creation. And
Mm-hmm.
so typically I don't like, I mean, I'll channel a little bit when I'm speaking, but I don't like channel the whole episode. Well, I recorded 2 weeks ago because last week I just completely forgot to release my episode, which has never happened before and was very,
That's very Mercury
I
in
know,
retrograde,
I
so
know,
makes
I know.
total
I was
sense.
like, whatever, it's fine. So I sat down and I recorded like my mapped out episode, and then I like kept feeling this urge to record something else, and I was like, well, I have nothing else, but I turned on my microphone and I was like, oh. Okay, here we go. So I'm excited to listen back to that. I'm going to edit it today and it'll be released tomorrow. So I'm excited to listen to that because like that
Me
might
too.
just be a circle. We don't know.
Yeah. But I mean, sometimes, like, I feel like this with sometimes I put videos out, right? And then you're like, "Oh, I don't know if I liked it." But again, it's like, well, 5 people saved it. So 5 people found it useful. And I feel like that, when I think about what I'm going to do with the podcast, I really want to try not to edit it because I feel that something isn't how I want it. Because you never know. Like, that came out that way maybe for a reason. And someone needs to hear it in exactly that way to click, you know?
So
Or like I've given people signs all the time without realizing it. So they've asked for a sign and then I've sent them something or said something and they were like, oh, that was my sign. And it was like, oh, great. So you just never know.
totally agree. Like basically the only thing I edit out is like stumbles or or big pauses. But like yeah, I
Yeah,
totally
I
agree
do a lot of
that
ums.
it's so important just to leave things the way they are because and also it just
Yeah,
shows some authenticity. Like when you polish things too much, it's a little
totally.
like meh, meh.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's one thing that benefits me in terms of my time management, I feel like, is that I just don't. I mean, I say this, I worked in branding and marketing for 15 years. So I was always making sure everything was perfect for my clients, right? But for me personally, I'm just like, my branding is that I just want to be authentic to who I am and how I'm feeling that
Mhm.
day. So, like, my hair's done today because it was hair washing day yesterday. Next time it might not be. And if I have it like up in a like little top knot, that's what we're getting. Like that's what it is, right? That's authentic. If my cat butthole comes in, that's what you're getting if you watch it. I'm sorry. I'll try to edit it out, but like they love to show their buttholes off. I feel like it happens all the time. Cats are just
You
like
should
that.
just like put sticky smiley faces over it.
Yeah. Yeah. When I worked in corporate and we used to like Corona when we had to all do everything, it was just literally like they would be like, oh, there's Jess's cat's butthole. Okay. Like I would have to literally be like, I have a client call, so we're gonna have to keep the cat. Anyway, yeah. I mean I want to keep it as natural as possible and I hope that you enjoy it. And then of course give me all your feedback. And if you have any topics you want me to cover.
Yeah, love that. I can't wait. Can't wait, can't wait.
Thank you so much
Oh
for
my gosh.
this. It was so nice speaking to
Yeah,
you.
thanks so much for your time.